which is, I mean, I guess 20 minutes in. Welcome to the Barthinkle. Hi.
Oh, fuck.
But it's a perfect segue. I'm Katie.
We are struggling in the heat.
So, but this is episode 55, and which means it's our anniversary episode. We've been here for a year, and you've been here for a year-ish.
Maybe. We'd like to think.
But so for our anniversary, we decided that we would revisit some of the topics of our first 3 episodes, which were disorganization and disorganized thinking, poor focus, and
Remembering things. No, it was like poor time management.
time management. And concrete mixing trucks.
There was one right outside my window like 2 days ago. And I was trying to host a meeting at the same time. And I was like,
put it in the poop chute.
Constantly looking out the window. It was also like wildly close to my house. So there was also that level of distraction.
That's fun.
Please don't put concrete in my house.
Weren't you gonna have a bunch of concrete put in your backyard to like solve some sort of like flooding thing or something?
Oh yeah, we wound up doing bags in the basement because we had a drainage issue.
Yeah, but speaking of disorganization, we saw this this video on Instagram where somebody said to get like those stand-up tote bags or stand-up grocery bags. Yeah, and have one for each like zone basically of your house. So like if you're in your kitchen, you have a bag for your dining room, for bedroom, for kids' playroom, whatever, the office, and anything in the kitchen that belongs in one of those rooms, you put it in the perspective bag, and then bring your bags with you to the next room and empty out the one bag for that room and repeat the process.
Instead of like finding something, going to the room it belongs in, coming back, and then like getting distracted in the meantime, it helps you stay on task.
Which I agree with. And it's like I said to you, it's something that I had kind of like mulled over in my head, because it's the sort of thing where it's like, even if I can have just this, okay, I'm going to bring this one bag of stuff upstairs and put it away, then like that's the task for the day. Like if I'm working on, like right now I'm working on unpacking and putting away clothing from my apartment that like isn't in season, so it wasn't like a priority to move.
It's the worst.
And so if it's like, okay, I'm going to bring one armful of hangers upstairs and then put them in the permanent closet, then like that's the task for the day. And then it's way less overwhelming to try to like get organized. Cause I feel like when I was reviewing what I think I can generously call my notes for the first episode.
It's nice that you did that. And you know what? Didn't even occur to me as a thing to do.
Don't worry, there wasn't much there. Not for me anyway.
Katie got me again.
I think I hand wrote a lot of them, which was so whatever's on the drive is just the sources.
That's funny. That's really good.
But yeah, so
great idea, but that's funny.
Well, and I think it was our second episode where I talked about how you should have somebody help you lick stamps.
Yes, those really shitty tips.
Yes, cut out recipes, lick stamps, and have a
bug out bag. Yeah, with cash in case the world ends and you have to rely on cash.
Well, we're getting closer.
Yeah, now we're like, that's not funny.
It's not a joke. What kind of comedy podcast is this? But I think what a lot of the articles and hacks or whatever that are theoretically for people with ADHD, like this is how you can get organized as an ADHDer. All of those tips are coming from a place of organization. They're not coming from the starting point of like my desk right now. I've got this almost done water bottle, this empty one, I've got a cup and an old coffee mug that had coffee in it, and my current coffee mug that has wine in it.
Oh.
I've got all of those things on my desk right now.
You sound like a Furby. I've got a hot drink, a cold drink, a flavored drink.
And so it's the cup, but like that's where I'm starting from, not from a place of like, oh, let's make sure everything has its place. No, I know where the fucking cups belong. Like,
that's
it's
a really
never
good point.
a mystery.
Yeah.
So I think that's been that, like, even when I was trying to like redo my research, I was getting kind of more frustrated based on just the things that we've learned over the course of a year of doing this podcast, and like actual, and I think also trying to like implement some of the things that we've researched.
Yeah.
Being like, this is a stupid tip because like you're presupposing, first of all, like I saw this one article by the ADHD Center. It was written by Dr. Peter Jaska, PhD, and he has this list of this clutter prevention routine. The first item is every item needs a home location. After use, all objects are returned to home, no exceptions. And I was like, well, I have a surprise for you, my pal. Like, I live in exception zone.
Yeah.
My whole life is an exception. Like, what do you mean no exception?
That's like when we were talking about in that episode we did with Sarah, we were like joking about like set a reminder on your phone and I'll fucking turn it off. So
right.
Hit me with your next tip, because guess what?
Right. Well, and also like set up a mail processing center on your desk, which like what a boomer tip, first of all.
No.
But set up a mail processing center on your desk and sort through mail as it arrives by using the Ohio system, which stands for only handle it once. With these 3 categories, junk mail gets tossed in the trash immediately, bills are paid immediately, and important papers like bank statements and tax documents are sorted and filed right away.
Let me guess, the next tip is, have you bought a planner? Like, get the fuck
out
of here with
like,
that.
Bills are paid immediately. Fuck you, man.
Yeah,
I've
okay,
got student loans.
Yeah, not only can not everybody do that.
Like, what the fuck?
Like usually I'm
junk
like, okay,
mail
so
isn't my problem. I can throw away junk mail, no problem.
I'm relieved when there's junk mail because I'm like, oh, I can take care of this. This can go in the recycling. Bye. Done.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It doesn't have any of my information on it. I don't even have to shred it. Go for it. Enjoy it, trash man.
All these bits. Yeah, no, it's I will say, like, I keep trying to get my spouse to switch over to the scanned mail. Where you just get like an email once a day with your mail, because that's like I would say that's like one of our problem items is mail accumulation, because we're both suckers for like, there's this coupon to this place that we go sometimes, we should really keep it. I went through the other day, I threw out coupons that were like a year old.
Honestly, I will only use a coupon, either it's like a promo code for a podcast that I listen to, or it's a like a seasonal thing. Like, I go to that website because more often than not my shopping is all online. Even if I can have the option of going in person to a store, I feel like only Home Depot, I'm like, okay, I definitely need to see it in store.
Yeah, there's very few. I'm trying to think if I bought any of the baby stuff in person. I don't, like, a few clothing items that I saw that I was like, oh, that's cute, but that's it. Like, everything
I didn't get anything
else
for your kid in person.
Yeah, no, everything else was online.
Well, except for the stuff that I gave you first, but
oh yeah,
initially, but
yeah. No, I don't want to. I don't want to. Like, the whole process is overwhelming, and I'd rather get what I need to get online and have it hand delivered to me.
That's fair.
And then stress about the 4,000 boxes that I have to collapse.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's the only downside, is that our recycling bin is never not overflowing.
Oh, never. Yeah, so I went back over the weekend and listened to our first 3 episodes, and it's funny because I was like kind of dreading it. I was like, am I going to listen to this and like hate it? But I was like, you know what? I listened back and I was like, we did a really fucking good job.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
covering the stuff that we covered. I was like really impressed. I was like, these are very solid first episodes that we thought, like, I feel like we both were like, oh, they were really rough.
Yes.
And I went back and listened. I was like, these are not that rough.
Yeah. We don't even laugh at even a little bit of random stuff.
It's literally in my notes. What did I put? I know I have it in here somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I took it out because I was like, okay, everybody knows how I feel about it. Yeah, like, and that was one of the things I listened for because I was like, okay, let's see about this laughing.
No, I've listened since I saw that review, and because I was like, okay, like I know that I think I'm hilarious, like whatever. That's a critique I've gotten since like middle school. But no, I agree. I think that all things considered, like they were pretty good. I mean, other than, like I said, the tips to lick stamps, like probably could have vetted that. But again, like I said, I think that's all of these tips or these like lists on like how to handle organization. Like even this one article, which like granted has plenty of tips that are ridiculous. It's like blocks of texts, and I'm like, I'm not reading this.
100%. And I think it's good that we talked about those because you're right. It is like, it's the same, like the person that writes those is the same person that's telling people to hand deliver their resume someplace.
Ugh. God, that tip makes me want to set things on fire.
Yes.
God, I hate that tip.
So I do feel like you're totally right. Like they are written. It's kind of like when, you want like you're looking for a workout video, and you get somebody that's like 30 pounds underweight, who's like, this is the weight loss video, and you're like, you already did it. What am I? What am I watching here? So it definitely is somebody approaching it from like,
you can modify it if you need to.
Yeah. Or, how did I become a millionaire by age 30? And then you find out, oh, I got a fucking $500,000 investment from my parents.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I like crowdsourced it from my friends. Yeah. Well, you have really rich friends. My friends don't have that much money to give me.
Yeah. So it's definitely like you've got somebody who is approaching it from a place of already being organized. And like, all you have to do is this.
Yeah. And it also reads to me as also like, again, that very neurotypical thing of like, oh, well, all I do is I just put a reminder in my calendar on my phone. Cool. Like, and to an extent, yeah, I put all my appointments in my phone calendar. Absolutely. Usually. Very rarely does one slip through, honestly.
That was the evolution of that. 100% of the time. Like, usually, sometimes I forget. So what?
Sometimes I hit people with my car. Sue me.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was good.
But it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, like I can look at my, like I have the widget on my phone that'll tell me like my upcoming events for the day, which is helpful. So that, like, and even like if I unlock my phone, I think it'll tell me like what I have going on for the week, if I have stuff planned. Like for example, I have your birthday on here. And but so like it'll tell me, like it keeps me kind of on track for that sort of thing,
right?
But it doesn't change the fact that like I'm still like I can sit at my desk in my office 3 cubes away from my boss and still be late to a meeting that he's hosting.
Are you coming or
oh yeah, the thing that I just got a reminder for 5 minutes ago and just yeeted it out of my brain. So it's that kind of thing where it's like, well, why don't you just try this? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I think also even coming from people who are older and don't have an ADHD diagnosis or never thought to ask for one and had a lot of that like internalized like self-hate about it. Because like people in our parents' generation, it's like, that's a personal failing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're late, if you're disorganized, if your house is messy, that's on you. You're the failure. So I think these lists a lot of times are less helpful. I mean, even again, like even the licking stamps one, like who has somebody that they can just call and say, come over and clean with me, or like come over and sit here while I do this thing. Like nobody who has, like, if I've got free time in my schedule, it's not that I don't want to spend it helping you, but it's like my
I
free
also have
time
my
is so
own
limited.
shit to do.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, you just want me to come over and sit there? Like,
and I feel
what?
like that is true for like a lot of mental health based tips. Ask a friend to do this, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I love you, but damn, I have a lot of shit I got to get done myself, and I don't have a lot of free time. So,
right.
Ugh. Like,
oh, totally. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, are you, you know, this is going to sound terrible, but it's like,
I can't wait.
well, if you're struggling, if you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, always call me.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And don't hesitate, and don't think that you're being a burden, but it can be this kind of thing where it's like this happened with my brother. So I had gotten him some bulbs to put into his garden because he owns his house, and I just thought it would be like a nice thing for him to do. So I got him the bulbs, and I was like, okay, here, because I helped him dig out a garden on the side of his house.
Also, I will say, I find kind of helpful for seasonal depression. When I start seeing stuff come up in the spring, I'm like, whew, we're coming. We're almost there.
True. I do love seeing flowers sprout. But apparently he had like planted like a few of them in like one corner of the garden that we dug out along the whole side of his house. And I guess like he said to my mom, or our mom, oh, it was just way more fun to do it when Katie was here. And I was like, well, I offered to come over, and he said, no, I'm good. Or like he had to work or something. And then I just didn't want to push it, because I didn't want to like be like, well, we have to do this TikTok.
Right.
And it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, sure. Like if I've already enjoined myself to this activity, then by all means. But it's very different to say, like, again, and that's also, I'm doing something with you. So it's not like, again, I'm sitting there cutting out recipes and saying like, what do you think?
And it's like the cutting out recipes too gets me, because to me that is just like clutter. That's bits. It's bits of paper.
Which for disorganization, you're not supposed to have any clutter.
No. Like
so.
That's wild. That is really wild. But it is I think a lot of, now that when you put it in terms like that, I'm thinking back on like some of the earlier research that we did was totally, even just from the formatting of the articles, written by a neurotypical person that maybe has a specialty in ADHD, but definitely doesn't have ADHD, because they are not written in an ADHD friendly format.
Yeah.
And the tips are definitely like, just have your ripening drawer, and that's it. Just ripen things in it.
To be fair, I did have a ripening bucket at my old apartment, and it lived next to my trash can, and is still there because I haven't finished moving out of that apartment yet.
Oh, that's the worst. That is the worst. Like, I have a hard time with...
That's what we'll be doing this weekend, whether he likes it or not.
I kind of associate it with, so like my brain will be like, the example that I can give, hey, you need to email the photographer that you use to see if they can do like newborn photos for you. So you need to like reach out to them. And I did. And he's great. And he got back to me like the next day. But my brain had already gone, you need to reach out to him. And I sent the email. It's gone. I've done it. It's off my list. I already sent the email. I'm good. No, you've done half of the task. Maybe even a third of the task, because you still need to have this back and forth. Sent him that email like 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
So
However, I
I
mean,
do have that tendency to like, I'm okay like keeping it in the front of my brain, like, hey, you got to do that. You got to take care of that. I'll do it. But then I'm like, it's done. I
yeah.
did it. I conquered that item. I took it off my to-do list.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
I
except I
cured
didn't.
ADD. Follow the bars ankle high for more tips. Go lick a candle and you'll be cured.
But that's,
No,
and
it's
like,
true.
for me, I would be like, okay, I'm moved in. I'm done. I don't need to go back.
That is very much where my brain has been
Yeah.
and where it needs to not be right now.
Yeah. That is, or like, you know, when you would take a test and they would be like, you need to double check your work.
Oh,
Honestly,
never.
bamboo shoots under my nails before I want to do that. Like, I
Mm-mm.
never want to check my work. I never want to go back through and read something again.
Yeah, I also never want to check my work because I'm certain I'm right, but also, yeah, checking my work is lame.
Oh,
I
my
just
attitude was always like, that was my answer the first time. All I'm going to do is second guess it.
Oh, totally. And I think part of why I thrived in AP classes in high school is because they taught the testing was so rigorous. We were taught to spend no more than 45 seconds per multiple choice question. And not that like we were really timed that way, but it like I think professor, the teacher like broke it down to like you have this many questions and this much time, which works out to this. Okay, cool. But like the idea being, and like he said, like they taught us, like if you know the answer right away, just answer it and move on. Don't spend
Yes.
time going through all the other possible options
Yes.
to see, oh, well, maybe, blah, blah, blah. And then if you get stuck on it, if you're not sure on the first reading, that's when you go through and you like circle the words like must or may or shall and like really dissect the question. And that I got in high school is probably why I managed to get through law school, because they didn't really teach that intensive kind of test taking skill in law school, which is kind of reasonable that if they expect you to have that skill to get there in the
Right.
first
Yeah.
place. But I think the reason that I thrived in AP is because it was like there was no second guess yourself. There was no like there wasn't time to do that. So I was
Yeah.
able to kind of like just cross it off the list and move on to the next thing,
Which is
which was
great for
perfect.
ADHD.
Yeah.
And that's a tip that like, it's funny because like we talk about, you know, ADHD, like things that we do to help ourselves. And I know I've said this before, but like I have certain things that I have patterned so deeply to get through school and
Mm-hmm.
work that I don't even realize that it's like a something that I've taught myself to trick myself into doing something, or to prevent myself from like making mistakes, or you know, it's like something I've built in.
Yeah.
And that is totally one of them. Like even now, like taking like a civil service exam, I'm going to go through, and the ones that I know right away I will answer right away, and I
Yeah.
skip anything I don't know the answer to. And then I'll go
Reasonable.
through, okay, let's eliminate the two that I know aren't it. And I'd rather have a 50-50 chance than a 0% chance, and I'll just put one of these two if I'm still not sure. So it's
Right.
like those test taking skills were like saved me so
Yeah.
many times.
Absolutely. And I think you know, it's things like that that can be translated into multitasking and time management
Mm-hmm.
and your focus, because I think, you know, one of the main takeaways from all of those initial topics we covered is like find what works for you
Yeah.
and craft your situation, what you can control, in a way that works for you, and like kind of like fuck everybody else. Like
Yeah.
if it works for you to have a laundry basket in every other room of your house, then have a laundry basket in every other room of your house.
Yeah.
Like just solve that problem.
And like stop. I think like one of the things that I've learned a lot, I would say I've got like two big two big takeaways that like I kept writing down in my notes. One is I am way fucking nicer to myself about ADHD related things.
Oh, good.
Like times when I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. And I'm like, yeah, you're tired because you have like a million and one things going on. You're allowed to be tired. Like, that's not, you're not failing because you're tired. You're just tired.
Yeah.
And being better about like the toxic productivity and like allowing myself to rest when I'm tired. And just like generally, I think the research that we've done, the conversations that we've had, like having more awareness of how pervasive, like when we talk about ADHD being a 24-hour diagnosis, it's not an 8-hour a day diagnosis. So, I mean, it impacts all these different areas of my life. And sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, whoops.
Oh, totally. That happened to me the other day. I was almost late to
Yeah.
work because I had gone into the house through the garage and I had stuff in my hand. So I had put my keys in this bin in the garage that holds like some workout gear of mine.
Oh, no.
And that was on Tuesday, which we had off. And then Wednesday, I'm going to work, and I was like, well, I need to figure out where the hell I put my keys.
Oh my
And they
God.
weren't in like they weren't next to the coffee maker, which is one place I put them. They weren't on the coat rack, which is where I should be putting them every day.
Because that's always the thing.
Well, like
Where
I
do I
try to
them?
put them every day, but like I'm also not used to having a dog greet me when I come home. So I'm like, I need to like, I usually still have my keys in my hand when and trying to keep her from jumping on me and tearing a hole in my work clothes. So I'm figuring that part out. So either or they're in my bag for work and I'll just shove them into my bag. And they weren't in any of those places. And I was like,
God.
I'm going to have to end up getting a fucking tile or like the Apple button thingies for my keys because like they were in this random spot. And I was like, motherfucker, like, and I was so irritated with myself. And like, and PK was helping me look and I was like, oh, thanks. And he's like, oh, I didn't do anything. And I was like, well, I didn't do anything either. And I was like, so mad at myself. And I was like, yeah, like it was just so uncalled for. And I was like, I'm like going to work. And I was like, granted, by the time I got to work, I'd forgotten about it, but
it's causing this like existential crisis in the meantime.
Totally,
and then you get to work and you're like, it's gone. Totally gone.
And it was the kind of thing where I was like, God, you're being a real dick to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, it's not that big of a deal. Like, even if I had been late to work, it was not going to be that big of a deal. But it was just that thing where like I had that like emotional dysregulation response where I was like, I'm a failure. I'm an asshole. What kind of fucking idiot can't keep their keys in the same place all the time? And it was just like, it was just so interesting that like that happened right before we recorded this episode because I think, but yeah, I mean, had we not been doing this past year, I don't know that I would have handled that so well. Cause I mean, in the past year, that's of all the, I mean, I've forgotten stuff in my apartment or in my house and had to go back in. But that was one of the first times that I've been like, oh, you fucking idiot, you're such an asshole. And it was just that kind of thing that like sort of caught me off guard. And I think I was just like tired and sweaty as hell because the world is burning. And it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, wow. But like I said, I forgot about it in the 10-minute drive to work.
So yeah, I definitely am more likely to approach things with myself or my spouse because he's also got ADHD from a place of understanding and a little bit more empathy than immediate anger. And I think also like just recognizing and understanding that certain things don't work well for me.
Yes.
And not like square peg round hole, like trying to do it to make it work for me because it worked for other people. Like now I can look at something at face value a little bit more accurately and be like, that's not a happening thing for me. I'm not doing that.
I think it's like when you said empathy, I think that has actually really helped me with this living with a partner thing. Because until 2 days ago, he didn't have a diagnosis. So it was that kind of thing where like, you know, having the knowledge that our research has offered, I hope has offered the same to our listeners that it has to us, but it's given me at least the space to be able to say, like, would it work for you if I did XYZ? And like, does that work for you? Would it be better if, and it happened recently, like we were talking about, like splitting a bill. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put, this much per month towards it. And, cause it's like an interest free thing. It'll be paid off before the interest starts. And he was like, I'm just going to give you the lump sum and then you can divide it up. And in my head, I'm like, that really wouldn't work for me. But it's that thing of like, I realize that that's what works best for you. Like, you need to be done with it and to not have that monthly reminder. Whereas for me, I would rather get the Venmo request for the total amount that I owe for that month or whatever, and then be done with it. But it's that kind of thing where it's like, okay, I acknowledge that that's what works for you, and we can go from there. And I'll figure out how to like compromise, because I think there's also that thing of like, even making a podcast together, has presented things where we've had to say, like, does that work for you? And we've had to like
have
come
different
together.
flavors of ADHD.
Yeah, and we've had to come together and have those conversations, which I know that like Jamie has asked us about, because I think she's like fully perplexed that we made it work.
But it's true. There's some times where I'm like, I mean, we had talked about, I was going to redo the, like the spreadsheet that we had going to like get us between the point that we were at and like maternity leave and like covering maternity, it was like through the fall, and started it, got pulled into 40 other things at work, got back into it, realized I couldn't upload it to the drive because I can't access the drive at work. So it was just like one of those, like, there are too many hurdles in my way right now. Like, I can't accomplish it. And then said to you, like, I remember I said I was going to do this. I can't do it. It's just not working.
And I was avoiding work one day, so I did it.
But no, it really is like, one of the episodes I was mentioning that, because when we were prepping for launch, we had, I don't know, we recorded like our first 8 or 9 episodes ahead of time. So we were like rapid fire jumping from like one in-depth research topic about ADHD to the next. So we spent like, I don't know, 2 months like really intensively in this research stage. And I remember like joking, like, man, my therapist is going to be really glad when we move on to another topic.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because wow. And it's just, I look back on it now and I'm like, man, I am like so much easier on myself now than I was then. I was like thinking of it and it was so present in my mind that I just kept being like, oh, fucking ADHD again. Like, look, you can't get a grip on it. Yeah, I definitely, I think there's been a lot of growth. And we talk about hindsight a lot, but I think there has been a lot of growth in the last year. Like, and in our approach to like how we podcast too.
Yeah. Sometimes we're good at it. Sometimes we don't get a recording out of it.
Yeah. And then we go, we're going to use this for Patreon.
Oops.
Yeah, it's just like, so I think we've got like a good flow to things. And I think that we've put out like some really fun stuff this last year.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, same.
We're like really good at this.
And we're also working full-time jobs.
That's
and
true.
Going through major life changes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny when you were saying that, like last year, like rapid fire, recording, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like
episodes.
right now.
Yeah. And then it was that kind of thing where I was like, oh, last year though, when we were doing this, I had like nothing going on.
Yeah.
It was just the podcast. And this year I've got a huge major life change. You have a huge major life change. Like, oh, that's why I feel like I never have time to do this.
Yeah, it's it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I think it's been an interesting. Well, it's kind of like, I feel like before I've mentioned that sometimes um when things are when there's a bazillion things happening with life, that the ADHD is actually helpful, because I can juggle 10 bazillion different things and have 10 bazillion different things going on in my head at the same time and like get through it, as long as it's not like a forever thing, it's like a short-term thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what's been happening. So we were
It's true.
completely had everything pretty much sorted from the baby shower within like 2 hours of getting home.
That's awesome, because you guys made out like bandits.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. And a week later, all of the laundry for the first 3 months was folded, put away, sorted. We got a ton of hand-me-down stuff from friends of ours that was all sorted, folded, put away. We even have stuff in like totes and like vacuum packed and labeled. And
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so we really got like, but it was one of those things, like I had just enough energy and the ADHD was hitting just right and was able to accomplish. And one of my friends was like, nobody's that prepared. And I was like, yeah. So I kind of have to like strike while the iron's hot. So if I have the energy and the time and the availability and the desire to do it, I have to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'll
today,
never do it.
because
Yeah.
my trunk was full of these clothes from my apartment
Ugh.
that we basically just like threw in there. So like
I'm
all the
having like
hangers were
secondhand stress
tangled.
on your behalf. Just
I
the thought
know.
of like,
It was the
not
tangled
secondhand stress,
hangers that were getting me. Like,
dread. It's
yeah,
secondhand dread that I have on your behalf.
because we had brought in like a couple armloads when we first got the stuff from my apartment, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I looked at PK and I was like, I'm not doing any more today. And he like kind of looked at me. I was like, yeah.
But also, that's growth with ADHD, because I'm the same way, where I would have been like, I need to get all of this done today. And if I don't do it today, I'm a failure.
And that's what I did today. Not that I didn't say that I was a failure, but it was the kind of thing where I was like, I have to empty this trunk today because I know I will not want to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing like, yeah, most of it's hung up. There's some stuff that's on my dining table that was folded to begin with, so it wasn't on hangers and like whatever. Like, I just need to put it away. But like, I just needed it out of my car because I need to make more runs with my car. So like, it was just that kind of thing where I was like, I got home and like I didn't sit down, I didn't take my shoes off, and like did those different little like tricks that we've talked about where it was like the dog didn't go out, I brought everything in and then I took her out, and I just had to strike while the iron was hot and had to keep moving because I knew once I stopped, I wasn't going to do it again today. And like, yeah, it's annoying, and yeah, I was frustrated, but it's done completely.
Right.
And like, I can spend the weekend putting away my clothes, hanging stuff up upstairs, whatever. But like, it's that thing, like, and I've caught myself doing it a lot more recently, especially since we've been in the house, where it's like, I just have to do it. Like, I mowed the front lawn yesterday afternoon, and I was like, I just have to do it. Like, I have to do it as soon as I get home because our weather is so inconsistent right now. So like, I can't trust that it's not going to be pouring rain at 9 a.m. on a Saturday before it gets too hot. So I have to do it at 5 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
When it's hot as balls outside.
Yeah.
But like, my workaround for that was like, well, I'm not picking up any of the clippings. They're just going to stay on the lawn.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I can't be like, I just can't. Like, I'm just going to do it the fast way.
I noticed it, like, we used to, I don't think this is unique to us. A garage is like, it's like things go in there and reproduce, and one day you open it and it's just a shit show. And you're like, what has happened?
I can't wait till I have the opportunity to spawn stuff in my garage, because my garage right now is full of my brother's stuff.
Oh yeah. It with us, like we have to dedicate, not seasonally, but I would say like once or twice a year, we just have to like go through and clean it out because like stuff accumulates and you're like, I'll just put that in the garage for right now. And then before you know it, it's just like a hoarder's den. There's like too many things. And we used to approach it like, okay, Saturday, we're starting first thing in the morning and we got to get this whole thing done today.
Yeah.
And we used to like hold ourselves to that. And then you would be like, you would just burn out at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it's like super hot out and you're just tired and hungry and miserable and in a bad mood and you're like bickering. And we have over time, it's been like, okay, let's just work on that for like a couple hours. And we'll just see what we can get done. Or let's just work on this today. So that's like, we've started taking that approach with, especially now because we've had so many just like little like project-y things to do around the house, like putting things together and setting things up and organizing things and moving stuff around. And it's been I just, instead of, okay, we need to get the nursery done today, it's like, hey, can we just hang the curtains up today? And then I can take care of this, this, and this. And doing things like bit by bit, which is part of that, like setting yourself up for success. Like, if I do this all in one day, I'm going to burn out and I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm either going to do it half-assed or I'm going to be in a bad mood or whatever else. And just like being nicer to myself and being like, okay, or you can just do this today. Just tackle this task. And then if you're up to it, take care of that one too. Or if not, don't.
And I think that comes to, I know you said you do this and I've started doing it more recently, but it's that thing of like things that I have to get done today, things that I would like to get done today, and then like miscellaneous things. I think of it like that third column, sort of like the other stuff that like pops up in my mind as I'm making those other lists. Like I just need to like put it on paper and get it out of my head.
Yep.
But that's really what has been helpful for me and PK as well, where it's like, okay, we have to get our sheets washed because we have to change our sheets. We have to get, the dog washed because she got into something in the backyard and stinks. Like,
oh
yeah.
Reggie literally found like a dead bird the other day and was chewing on it. He was outside for 30 seconds. It's like he's got like I don't know how he found it so fast. 30 seconds and he's like chomping on something. I was like, what do you have?
Ugh. There was a bird corpse in our backyard that didn't have a head, and that was it. I was like, oh God, what happened here?
Yeah.
Like, do you eat Pop Rocks? Like, what happened?
I had a migraine.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
But yeah, it's definitely, I find that like, it helps me focus, but also take the pressure off, where I don't have everything on the list of things that need to get done.
Yeah. And I think it also helps, like, it kind of like just helps quiet my head a little bit so that those little things, because part of, I think, also being, AFAB with ADHD is like, well, I have to manage all these different things. I have to have all these different plates going. And there's that kind of like ingrained expectation. Not that I think either of our partners have those expectations of us, but I think it's very easy for me to have that expectation of myself. So if I can at least put it all in a list, then the order that I'm going to do things in is handled. Like it's almost like I've handled step one of getting all those projects done, is like figuring out that prioritization of tasks and figuring out like what do I need to have done before work on Monday? Like, what do I need to have done before maternity leave starts for you? Like those types of things where, okay, and then, okay, look at what I need to have done and what I would like to have done. And of the things I'd like to have done, what things can wait? Like removing all the wallpaper from our kitchen can absolutely wait till winter. Like,
oh, yeah.
That is an indoor time project.
Yes. And when it's not hot.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hanging our microwave, indoor project. That is an autumn problem is what that is.
Yeah, it makes things a little bit more approachable, and I think I get less overwhelmed. Like, I had on my list last weekend, I was doing a lot of meal prepping and like making meals and freezing them. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do that. But like, I just like, it was so hot out. I didn't want to have the stove going and the oven going and heating up the kitchen. And my time that I can spend on my feet before I feel like I'm going to pass out when it's hot is small. So I was like really dreading it. And then I decided, oh, okay, so if I make this for dinner, I can use the same stuff. I can just make extra and then use the rest of it for meal prepping and then freeze it, which made it seem so much more approachable. And I felt less overwhelmed and I felt like I was doing less.
Yeah, because I think we have to kind of trick ourselves into getting stuff done
Constantly.
sometimes. And yeah, okay.
I am so jealous of neurotypical people sometimes.
Yeah, they just like do it. It's so like, weird.
They used to get me with homework. Like, I remember getting home from school and just being so zapped and exhausted. And I had neurotypical friends that were like, I had my homework done at 4:00. And I'm like, how? Like, how do you just get home after a whole day of fucking doing stuff and just like open your homework up and just sit and do it? It was just like such a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about like I'm like thinking about the stuff that we're saying right now and I'm like, wow, there's people that can just do things.
Which just is, part of what I struggle with right now, like getting this stuff out of my car. It's like, I get home from working 8 hours and I don't want to think about having to do something. I don't want to have to go to my apartment and clean shit out and then put it in my car and then bring it into the house. Like, it's that last bit of stuff where I'm like, ugh.
And then allocating space for it. Well, now I have to find a place to put these things and how to organize them. And
which now living with somebody, it's like, well, that's a we conversation. That's not just like me deciding what goes where, because I also, part of it is like I refuse to be the only person who knows where things are. And so there's like that aspect of things where I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that part alone, because the implications of being the only person who knows where the band-aids are is not something that I want to deal with.
Yep.
Like, nah. Like, like, and it's that kind of thing where it's like, if we make those decisions together, if we are putting away those things, then I don't have to do it. But that last step of just like getting the stuff back out of my car, I'm like, I'll just set myself on fire. I don't care.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, I mean, things that we're doing differently, the dry erase has been so incredibly helpful for both of us, because I have one on our fridge. And if we have like a lot of tasks we have to get done in, say, 2, 3, 4 days, if we have an upcoming appointment, like something like that, I can just jot it on the dry erase board and it's just like front and center where we can both see it. Or groceries, stuff that we're out of, making notes of things. Like, I'm constantly taking Unisom, omeprazole, and baby aspirin. So it's like I'm constantly running out of one of those. And being able to just jot it on the thing, and then when somebody stops at the store, we know it's written down. Nobody's remembering it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely taken out some of the like noise of things that I'm trying to keep going in my head all the time. Because like I said, I mean, I'm at max capacity right now.
Oh,
I can't. Sure. There's nothing extra. So that has been, both work and home has been so helpful for me.
Yeah, I've been using my dry erase at work. I got a dry erase board for our fridge as well, but we're just not in the habit of using it. I did draw a picture of me and PK.
That's nice. I do have how many weeks are we?
He said it wasn't accurate. And then like rude. I stood next to him. He said that I made myself too tall. And I was like, no, I didn't. Like, my head ends where your chin begins. And he was like, nuh-uh. And then like he stood next to me and he's like, okay, well, I guess you're right. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm looking at when I look at you.
Whereas when PK sits in a chair, he and I are about the same height.
Yeah, with you standing. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. If I'm standing next to him and he's sitting in a chair, we're about the same height.
Yes, he has exactly 12 inches of height on me.
It's nuts. So yeah, I think we've had a very good year. I think that we really had some great accomplishments in our first
10,000 downloads.
Yeah. I mean, we had some great episodes, some great guest spots. We covered some different stuff. We had fun while we were doing it.
So much
we don't
fun.
have a fucking boss, so that's also fun.
That's your number one favorite thing about this podcast.
It really, it's so freeing. It's like, do I want to do an episode about buttholes? Maybe I do. I don't, but like I could if I wanted to.
You could do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, I've had an absolute ball doing it. I can't believe that it turned out this well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can believe it because, like, obviously we're perfect, but
never done anything wrong.
Still impressed nonetheless.
Yeah, and like overall I feel like it's been like pretty smooth.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no like genuine complaints. Like nothing where I'm like, this is not worth it to me anymore.
No.
Like I have a lot of fun doing it. I like you still, which is also nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is a plus, right? We still like each other. Our mixer hasn't suddenly quit on us, so that's also good.
Despite what I'm certain are several threats that he makes when he's alone in the mixing room.
There might be a possibility of
that. And yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. And we've, like you said, we've met some like amazing people. And people that we never would have met otherwise. So
no, I mean it's really gone really well. And I always have the moment to look back on of our editor texting me, you don't really want to keep in this conversation about Harvey Weinstein's balls, right?
I was seriously about to say, like, and we also got some gangrenous flappy doodles.
God. I will say, like, I think looking back, Krampus was probably my favorite episode.
That's fair.
I loved the Krampus episode.
I love that you loved Krampus.
It was just so fun and weird and stupid, and it was just 5 stars. What is your favorite episode that we've done?
I think my favorite episode, so there's 2. I really liked Willowbrook. I thought that was super interesting. It was a story that I hadn't heard of before. Yeah. And yeah, I just thought it was super interesting, and I'm excited to, like, spoiler alert, make that kind of like an annual thing that we do around that time of year, because I just think it's important to tell those stories. And yeah, so I really, really liked that one. And then I also really loved that episode, doing that episode that just came out, the one about saffron. That was really fucking
wild.
I loved how mad you got.
I still get mad when I think it's just like essential oils. Like I think about it and I'm like, all over again.
Yeah, because the saffron one really surprised me with like just the shallowness of the study and the intersection with like TikTok and all that bullshit. And it was another MLM thing, and we had already done the essential oils thing, and it was just one of those things where I was like, God, I just feel like I just saw another article the other day that was like, blah 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 is nature's Ozempic, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh my God. Everything.
I was like, here we go again. I'm gonna have to do another article about, or another episode about that.
Katie's like, great, now I gotta Google things.
Right. Seriously though, like I feel like we almost owe Google money for how much we've Googled.
Like when I went back and I was looking at the topics that I did before, how many of the links were already purple. I was like, let me just find ones like articles that came out since we recorded. Like maybe that'll be helpful. And there wasn't a lot. Yeah, I think that we've just, it's been fun. And I also love, like, for example, one of our Patreons who I've told stories about, that I went to high school with, who I saw for the first time in like, I don't know,
I met
4 years, who you got to meet at the
and
baby
she was
shower.
like so excited to see me. I've never felt like important or popular before. And I was like, holy shit.
She was
they like me. They really like me.
I had seen her the week before. She just like happened to be in town for a week. So I'd seen her the week before. And we were talking about the podcast and she was so excited. And I was like, hey, you're going to get to meet Katie next week. And she was like,
oh my God. It was just the funniest thing.
So
even
pumped.
PK was like, she really likes your podcast.
She's like a really big fan.
I don't know why, but here we are. Although she did make us all gag with her cream cheese mints fact, which...
So just to like explain that really quick, there were candies that were out or given to people or whatever, and they were those soft mints that you can like bite into, those like after dinner mints or whatever, which is how I know them, as like after dinner mints.
Yeah, I know them as like, there's always a bowl of them at like a diner or like a Chinese restaurant that you would like sit in.
Yeah. A suspiciously open bowl with a spoon.
Yeah, something that for sure existed until March 12th, 2020.
Yeah.
And then
and should not exist anymore.
Right.
But
you
they
don't
still
see
do.
them. If you do see them, I've seen them individually wrapped.
Yeah.
Which is obviously better than what we grew up with, which for sure is where the origins of COVID-19 are.
Yes.
But yeah, so that there, in addition to like other candies and these like goodie bags that Garrett gave out at our baby shower, there were these individually wrapped soft mints. And our Patreon listener was like, I love cream cheese mints. And I was like, ew, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, fully, like, she got the full Katie treatment on that one. Because it was like, what the fuck is a cream cheese mint?
And she ultimately did. She like looked up the ingredients and was like, sure enough.
Yeah, so those mints are made with like literally a block of cream cheese and confectioner sugar and peppermint oil or extract. Mm-hmm. And you like, bleh. And so then that's all we could taste.
Yeah, so I came up to the table and they were like, oh my God. And they tell me about it. And then like a half hour later, I'm talking to my spouse and he holds one of them up and he goes, do you hear the bullshit about these? And I said, oh, that they're cream cheese mints. He goes, she already got to you, didn't she? So upset.
Because he came over to like make the rounds with our table, you know, all the other tables. And I was like, can you believe this is made of cream cheese? He's like, that's not made of cream cheese.
That was a good impression.
Like, sure. Thank you.
He's going to get so mad when he hears it. That's not made of cream. That was almost Sean Connery. I was dangerously
I haven't
close.
done Sean Connery in a while.
No, it's been a while.
But yeah. Yeah, no, he got real mad about it. And I was like, no, it's made of cream cheese and also gross. Cause now that like, cause then it's like, once it gets soft, it's like all I could think was that I was eating a glob of cream cheese, which is the reason I don't eat certain sushi rolls that have I will not eat a sushi roll that has cream cheese in them because I hate that texture.
You don't like cream cheese?
No, not really. I'll have cheesecake.
What about like a bagel and cream cheese?
I will put cream cheese on a bagel, but an extremely thin layer, as if I was putting on like butter on a bagel.
Oh, I am a monster with cream cheese. I put
PK
so much
is also
a
monster with cream cheese.
I
got bagels, and he was like the other day, and he was like, "Oh, cool, did you get cream cheese?" And I was like, "No, I put butter on my bagels."
Oh my God!
And he was like, "Oh, so I guess they're just for you." And I was like, "Huh." You're really mad.
I love how sassy he got with that response.
He really did.
Well,
he gets extremely sassy.
That's great. That's great. So it has been a fun, exciting, and successful first year for the Bars Ankle High.
I would say so. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah.
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 I just need some cotton candy and to be at a sporting event to get excited like the little girl in the GIF.
With a little raincoat.
Yep.
Yep. That's
perfect.
So you. It's so accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, until next week.
I mean, truly, who knows what's coming up next week?
Oh, I mean, I know what's coming up next week. I have the spreadsheet right here.
Jesus Christ.
Next week, we're talking about obesity brain.
Oh, those are good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Which we very narrowly lost one. We recorded for nearly 2 hours and had a system issue and almost lost the whole recording.
Yes, but our lovely unpaid audio engineer intern saved it. So
intern. Oh, he's gonna get so mad. I can't wait. Can't wait for him to listen.
So, be nice to your interns, guys.
Be nice to your interns. Be nice to yourself. Find things that work for you. And tune into year 2 of the Bars Ankle High.
Yeah. And also leave us a 5-star review and join our Patreon at patreon.com/thebarsanklehigh. And follow us on Instagram and Threads at thebarsanklehigh. And check out our merch at bit.ly/anklehighmerch.
And we're trying to incorporate like some like other things like viewing parties, like watch parties.
Yeah.
And, like other ways for us to interact with you aside from like regular content that we're recording and editing and posting.
Yeah. So it's definitely better to be following us. Obviously Patreon members get more access. But definitely follow us on Instagram if you want, and Threads if you want like up to the date information, especially because we're recording these so far in advance. It's like I cannot possibly keep track of like what the announcements we're supposed to be making.
Oh no. That's up there with keeping track of 4 different timelines. It's just like never gonna happen.
Yeah, that timeline can live its best life unsupervised.
Yeah,
I think is yeah. I know that this comes out on August 31st, so happy last day of August.
Happy last day of August. Happy anniversary to the Bars Ankle High. And there definitely will be another member of the team at that point.
Yeah. Oh, so exciting.
Welcome to the new member of the team. Child that's outgrowing my body very quickly.
To be named.
That's still, it doesn't have a name. It cracks me up because everybody that sees us like, do you have a name yet? And I'm like, nope. And I can see everybody like visibly recoil. And I'm like, I mean, we have ones that we like. We're just going to wait to pick one until we meet.
Right. Like you're not naming it like Xenon or whatever the fuck Elon Musk names his kids.
No.
So like, relax.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing stupid. We'll see.
I mean, yeah, I hope that you also don't name your kid something stupid. Because as you've said in episodes before, my face will tell you if your name is dumb.
Oh God, what a nightmare that would be. Filling out like birth certificate information, telling Katie and seeing her like shudder. That's a stupid name.
Oh,
too late now.
What's the nickname version of that?
What's the
so the initials would be what exactly?
Oh God, pressure's on. Well, we appreciate everyone's support and participation and downloads and comments and follows.
Yeah. And sharing us with the people that you think would like us, and even people you don't think would like us. I don't care. Share us with everybody.
Yeah, like the person that told us they were going to steal their boyfriend's phone and follow us from his phone too. More of that. We love that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, in the meantime, less self-doubt. Because the bar is ankle high.
Bye.
Bye.